Hello everyone, and it's been like a month since I worked on Houdini, and I didn't really know what to do. So I just decided let's make this small video on using chops for doing animation. So this is going to be the final result. So nothing fancy, but the interesting thing about this is that this is entirely done using chops. Okay, so there is no keyframed animation at all. Okay, so to get started, I'm just going to replicate this setup here, which is just like this much. So I'm going to duplicate this and we'll get rid of these two things. So what I have is I have a line and I've made a group for the top point and I have copied a sphere onto that top point. Okay, so what we want is that the line will sort of scale up and sort of wiggle a little, and then there will be a ball on top of it which will sort of, when this wiggles, it sort of bounces and settles. So like we can just merge these two together just to see what we have. So this is what we have, basically like a lollipop. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to just create a chop network and we'll start off with the basics. So what I'm going to do is I just want to take a wave node, okay, which will generate like a waveform. And it doesn't need to be too long. So I'm just going to come into the channel and say start and end, and I'll reduce it down to maybe about that much, a little bit longer. And what I want is I want this to start, like right now it's starting at 0, but I want the curve to be like, start from this point itself. So we'll just adjust the phase till we are like there. Yeah. Okay, so we are starting from, I think it should be, I think 227 is where it had, like you just have to kind of adjust it. Yeah, there you go. Okay, yeah, okay. Okay, so this is fine. So the first thing is I just want, let's take care of the line bouncing up first, and then we'll take care of the sphere. So what I want for the line is I just want like half of this curve. So take a trim node. And the trim node will allow you to sort of trim this. Okay, so just take the end and just bring it down. Do a control click on visibility, otherwise it will keep showing like every node. Okay, so just take the trim and bring it down till you are at the peak over there. Yeah, I think this is good. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to give this a little bit of like wiggle, or like use a spring node to give it a little bit of additional, bounciness to it. But our animation, we don't have any animation existing after this. So the great thing is that if you use the trim node again, you can actually extend the animation. So if I just take this end value and drag it out, so it'll just sort of, increase the duration. And we'll also take the start value and go into negative. So that will also, so now you'll have like an animation going, this way. And if you just want to test this, I can take a null. Let's also take a rename, and I'll call this, let's call this bounce, or no, let's just call this grow. And I can just connect this out to null and we'll call it out grow. And in the line over here, I'm going to take a transform node. Let's get rid of this for now. We don't need it. So we'll just take a transform node and I want to scale up the y-axis. So just take this, this outgrow, and we can drop it straight into the y-axis. So just take and drop this here and do relative chop reference. And so what you'll get is we just have a basic animation. So that's the animation we're getting, but we are currently going from like -1 to +1. And what we want to do is we want to go from 0 to 1. Okay. So two things we need to change. One is take the amplitude in the wave node and make it 0.5. And the second is take the offset and make it 1. So now it's going from, like, if you look at it, so it's going from 0 to 1. Like if this is at 1, it will go from like 0 to 2. Okay, which is not what we want. So make it like 0.5. Okay. And so now if I look at my animation, it should be, we get this, which is fine. Okay, but this isn't what we want. What we want is like it should like wiggle a little. So take a spring node and just drop it in, and it will. So the reason why we need this trim value is because if I turn this off, it can't, like, because there's no animation beyond that, the spring just won't calculate. So that is why you need the trim node. So just take this and you can adjust, like the more you increase the spring constant, the more, you know, like the more number you'll get over here. And then the mass, you can sort of reduce that, or if you increase it more, it'll give you more of like waviness in there. So I'll keep a little low, and then I can just increase the decay to just flatten it out. Yeah, so we'll get this. And so if I play this now, it should be, see, so you get like this little bit of a wiggle at the end. Yeah, okay, so this is good. We can actually like take it higher and maybe, you know, like adjust that. Yeah, okay, I think this is nice. So, okay, this is good. So if I look at it with this, we'll get something like that. See. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to make the ball bounce. So I'm just going to come back in here, and we're going to take it from the wave itself, but we just want like till here. Okay, so take another trim node. We're going to branch out, and this one, I'm going to cut it till like that point. Okay, so just take the end value and just, yeah. Okay, so this is fine. Okay, the next thing again, we need to extend it. So take a trim and we can extend it. So just take that and push it out. And maybe negative as well. Okay, so now let's add like a spring node to this to make it, you know, we want the ball to bounce, but again, it should like bounce and then settle down slowly. So the values that used were around, like this was 230 and this is around 2.5. And then we'll keep the decay to around 6. All right, but what I need to do, or what I want, is that it's going negative. Okay, what I want is I want all of this to be positive. So I can just take a math node, and in the math node, just set the channel pre-op to positive, and this is what it'll do. It'll just sort of, you know, make everything positive. So you'll get like a bounce like this. Okay. Let me just lower the mass. Yeah, till it sort of settles down to 0. Yeah, so 2.25 is good, I think. Yeah, okay. So this is, so there you go. So you get like this nice little bounce happening here. Okay, let's just connect these two over here as well. So we'll do a rename, and let's call this out bounce, and this we'll rename it to bounce. Yeah. Okay, so now what we want is, if I copy this to this guy, like it'll start bouncing as this is going up. What we want is we want to just offset it a little, right? So we'll take a transform here, and this needs to go into the Y in translate. Okay, so just take this, and I'll just take this. Yeah, so just take this bounce, and we can just drag it to the Y, relative chop reference. And if we merge these together, let's do one thing. Let's take a sweep over here. And this will be square tube. Square tube, and we don't want any segments. And let's just keep this to single polygon. So we get this. So if we merge these two together, what we'll end up getting is, yeah, that's not bad, but what we want is, we want this animation to be offsetted a little. Okay, so come in here, and you'll get something called as, like if you come to the timing, and you'll get something called shift. Okay, so put in a shift, and then just like if I check these both out together, what I would like is just to sort of, you can take either, like you can take start or you can take scroll, and just kind of shift it a little bit. Yeah, so what should happen is, yeah, See, so it sort of bounces, but it has like a little bit of, yeah, so that's better. Again, I think we're going up. I just need to adjust the spring a little. Yeah, so just adjust it till it looks okay. Like we can just push it forward a bit more. And I think it was better at 0. Yeah. Okay, I think this looks nice. So now let's take care of, like we want to copy it and then have everything getting offsetted. So we'll do a few things. Like the first thing is I want the sweep to be slightly bigger, so it looks like a slightly wider platform. Yeah, I think that is good. And then I also want to color it a little bit. So just take a color node and I'm going to take, let's make this like blue or something. And I am going to delete a few things here. So firstly, I don't want the base polygon. So take a group node and I'm going to get rid of the base. So let's call this base and come into binormals, make this -1 in the y-axis and just lower it, yeah, till it's only selecting the base, and delete that. We'll do delete unused groups and base. Yeah, okay. So that's gone. Okay, like if I look at it here, yeah, there you go. Okay, and then take another group node and I want to separate the top polygon from the rest of it. So do the same thing. Let's just call it T because we already have a group called top, and we'll make this 1 and just lower it till you're only selecting the top. Now let's take a split node and this will be T, and let's just give it a color. So let's make this, let's say like, yeah, orange, and this will be, let's just make it like a dark gray. Yeah. And then we can merge these together. Okay. So this is what we have. If you want a bit more intensity to the bounce, we can always try to do like a multiply, or like we can just take another, like the math node that we're getting here, I can probably take a multiply and try to just sort of boost up the whole thing, like you can do that. Just to give it, like if you want a little more bounce on the whole thing. See, so you can do stuff like this. So yeah, so you can just sort of play around with things and, just adjust and see what you get. Okay, so now I'll take, we can just take a simple line and I want to copy it over that line. Okay, so I'll just take, the direction should be x-axis. Okay. I'll make it long. We'll give it about say 8 points, and I'm going to take a match size node. This will put it in the center. Okay, and then wait, how big is this? Okay, slightly longer. Okay, so now take a wrangle node, and what I want to do is I just want to do like I just want to generate like a gradient going from 0 to 1 across all the points. So we can do a point number divided by total number of points. Now, the reason I'm doing this and not doing a curve view, because a curve view only works on lines. If we replace this with say a piece of geometry, then curve view doesn't work on that. Okay. So yeah, if you're going to work with a curve, then just do a resample and generate a curve view and you're fine. Okay. So let's just make a value called fade, and this will be at pt num divided by, we have to do a float because they both are integers. So we have to convert one of them to a float to generate a gradient. Otherwise it won't work. Okay. And at num pt. Okay. So if I visualize this, I should see a ramp. There you go. Okay. So we get a ramp. Okay, and now we need to do a bit of like a for each and time shift stuff. So put a time shift over here. And I'm going to copy this. We'll do copy to points. And we'll need a for each. So just take a for each point. Let's just shorten this name to for. Yeah, and we'll plug this in over here. And this comes in here, the points, that goes in there. And this comes in here. So we have these. Okay, so what we get is, that. So now what we want is we just want everything to, we want them to offset. Okay, so take a float node, attributed just float, and we're going to call this as, let's call it shift. And we'll do a set always, and we'll do remap attribute, and we're going to remap fade. And I want to put that into this time shift. Okay, so what we do is we use a point function. Okay, so it's $f minus. We're going to take a point function, and it will be, okay, so we'll do inverted commas. First thing, we need 4 things. So we need the name of the node. So that will be for. Okay. Then we need the point, which will be 0, because inside the for each is only 1 point. Then you need the name of the attribute, which is shift. And then because it's a float value, it will be 0. Okay, so this is the index. So if you're doing a vector and you want to access like the second value in the vector, so it will be 1. If you want to access the third value, it will be 2. So it's 0, 1 and 2. Okay, but since it's a float, it will be 0. Okay. And if we've done everything right and I press play, you'll get like a slight offset. Okay, there you go. So it's fine, like it's working. Okay, now all we need to do is we need to come into this shift value and just sort of offset the max value to give it more of an offset. So if I press play now, there you go. Okay, I think the bounce is way too much. Let me just come back here to the chop network and that math node. Yeah, bring it back to 1. Okay, this is good. So the other thing you can also do with this now is that because it is based on just the point numbers, before the attribute wrangle, okay, I can take a sort, and any changes I make to the point numbers will sort of, reflect in our animation. So if I just make it like proximity to point, which will put a point in the middle, and if I press play now, see, you'll get this. Okay. So if let's say if I take a transform and maybe I just make 2 of these, I don't know how that will work. Let's just do a copy to points. Let's do a copy and transform. I really don't know how that will work, but let's put the sort. Yeah, let's put the sort after that. I have no idea what result we're going to get. Okay, that's not bad. Fine. We can offset it more. Like if I come in here to this fade and I make it like say 15, then there you go. That looks better. Okay. So now let's do the final thing, which is I want this to light up when the ball bounces on it. So we're going to use like a trigger to, offset this. And in order to animate it, I'm going to put type in adjust and you'll get attribute color adjust. And we'll put it to this platform. Don't turn off adjust value and turn on color correction. And you'll get, you can either use gain or you can use value, like either is fine. So the gain makes it brighter. Okay, so we're going to animate this. So now we just need to generate like a trigger value for this. Okay, so come in here and after we have done the shift, okay, like this point is where we need to generate our trigger from. Okay, so take a trigger and plug this in. And we need to make a few changes on this. Okay, so the first thing is come into sustain and get the sustain level to 0. Okay, which is perfect. And then you can also sort of really lower the decay. You can adjust the attack length and make it lesser. Okay. But what we want is it's only calculating like the beginning. Okay, it's not calculating anything else. We need to calculate everything. And also we needed to calculate on the decreasing value and not the increasing value. Okay, so just take this and turn it to decreasing value, and then just adjust the threshold till everything comes into play. See, there you go. We can sort of just adjust the attack length and the peak length. There you go. Okay. And yeah, just sort of adjust this. I think these three are fine. Just, if nothing else, we'll try and combine two of them together. Yeah, so you can sort of sustain it a bit if you want. And you can adjust the release length. Let's try a second one, because we're not getting like those sides. So we'll have to like adjust this a bit till we get like all of them. Yeah, I think this is good. Okay, so we're getting all of them. Okay, so we have so we have like these three, and then we have like these three. Okay, and what we want is we just want to combine these together. So now take a math node, and I can just, plug both of these in over here. And in the math node, come to combine chops, and we can do maximum, and see, so now it just combines the whole thing into one, which is great. So now we have like, all of our bounce points in there. Okay, which is great. Now the only thing we want to do is I don't want this beginning. Okay, so take a trim and we'll get rid of that. So just plug in a trim node over here and just trim the start till we are, we don't need that point. We can also maybe adjust the sustain, like you can adjust, see, you can like adjust these things a bit. So it kind of like, you can do like ease in, ease out on these things. We can do like a peak length. So just, it sort of like stays around a little bit. Yeah, okay, so this is fine. And then we'll again just rename this. Do Control C, Control V. Plug this in, and we'll rename it to, let's say, light. Okay, and let's call this light. And so just come here to, I think we should just color the nodes that we're animating. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, those 3 nodes, I'll just make them yellow. Okay, so just take this and drop it into gain, relative chop reference, but we'll do a +1. So, the default will be that, and then it'll just brighten up from there. And so if I press play, I should get to see, okay, just need to make it brighter. Okay, so just come in here to our chop network. Let's just, make it red or something so we can see it. You can come into, this can be done in the trigger node itself. So come to the attack, and we'll just make the peak level at 10. So you'll get, see. So you can just adjust it, like then we can, like whatever, this is our time shift. Sorry, this one, yeah. So let's say we make it 25 just to see it slow down a bit. Yeah, I think 25 is better. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. So this is how you can do like a full animation using just chops and nothing else. Okay, well, a little bit of for each stuff, but yeah. And then, so the advantage of that is that you can go in there and you can shift it around and, do other stuff with it, and you don't have to worry about keyframing and things like that. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So see you whenever I make another tutorial.